everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is M.א.P. Freeman. I'm a lecturer, I'm a writer, and I am the developer of the AAA method of how to live up to your potential. AAA stands for awareness, accountability, and action. And we'll see how important this is and how relevant it is to the subject of this lecture. I am the author of these two books. It's a book in Hebrew, which basically describes the way I have done, the journey that I have been on when I first discovered this beautiful world of self-development and awareness. And this is my second book, My Journey from a Dependent Mommy to an Independent Lady, which describes a different part of the journey, a part which deals with financial challenges. So my background is self-development, and I have been doing this for the past 17 years, since 2003. And obviously I started for myself, but I have found that in the past 3 years I have been doing this professionally, helping other people as well get on their own journey. What I am about to describe to you today is a very, very, very interesting subject, which I discovered quite by accident. It was actually my husband, who is English, brought a book to the house following some difficulties in our marriage, which we all experience at some point or other in life. And he thought that this book might be interesting and helpful. And I have to admit that after I read this book, I was absolutely amazed that I have not known these things before. I mean, I've been doing this for so long, and still this was a complete discovery. Ever since then, I have been explaining this to others. I have been lecturing about it and passing on the knowledge that I have acquired through reading that book, which is basically one of a series of books that Dr. Chapman wrote. And it always seems to amaze people that, wow, like what a shame we didn't know this before. So here we are, let's start. So this is the book that I have read. It's called The 5 Love Languages. This is the men's edition, because there's women's edition and there's all sorts. It's part of a series of books, as I said. So let's go into the lecture, dive right in and see what we can learn. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, so here we are. The lecture is called The 5 Languages of Love. And I hope that by the end of the lecture, you will understand why I chose this particular screen to open this lecture. Look at this picture, this screen. You can see that it is very colorful, it's very beautiful, in my opinion at least. And we'll see at the end of the lecture what I mean by choosing this particular screen. So let's go right in. As I said, I'm talking about Dr. Gary Chapman. Dr. Gary Chapman is a very interesting man. He's an author of many books. He's best known for the variety of books dealing with the 5 languages of love. He's also hosting a talk show which is broadcasted in over 400 channels. He travels the world giving lectures about his findings. He's been working with the church for decades. And basically through his work, he has met many, many couples over the years. And I want to emphasize something. I'm talking about couples here, but but what I'm saying doesn't apply only for couples. It applies for all relationship, any intimate relationship you might have with someone. You know, it can be between husband and wife, or between parents and children, or between siblings. So any intimate relationship will basically fall into what we are going to discuss today in this lecture. It also applies for colleagues at work or for friends. However, there it will be a little bit different. But let's first of all understand the principles of what we're talking about. What is the 5 languages of love? So Dr. Gary Chapman, through his work with couples who came for advice because they had problems in their marriage, people would come to him and say, I feel unappreciated, I feel unloved, I feel that my spouse is not supporting me, is not helping me. And he tried to kind of investigate a little bit what is going on in this marriage or in these marriages, because we're talking about decades of work, thousands of people who came to him over the years. And he discovered that the feelings that people are coming with, the unappreciated, unloved, unsupported feelings, are feelings that are not necessarily the reality, because the spouse is trying to support, or they do love the person who feels unloved. So why do they feel this way? And the answer basically goes into bad communication. Now, it's not bad communication, but it's not the right communication. So he discovered that there are 5 ways that people express love, and they expect to be loved the same way they express love. It's just like speaking a language. If I speak English or Hebrew, then I cannot understand somebody who might speak German. And this way, because of the language is different, that's why people don't actually understand each other and they are feeling as bad as they do. So let's understand what are the 5 languages of love. We'll start with the first language. First language he found is physical touch. Physical touch, basically, these would be people who love to touch. They love to feel each other's body, okay? They would love to feel the skin. What does it mean? What does it mean in reality, in effect, you know, in everyday life? It means that these people would like to hold hands, okay? They would like to stroke one another. They would love to kiss. They are very cuddly, you know, they want the cuddles. They want to be physically close to the person they love. They love hugs, okay? They love making love, sexual intercourses. Because everything physical, okay, everything that has to do with their body, this is their language. This is how they speak, and this is how they want to receive love. So that is the first language of love, physical touch. The second language of love is words of affirmation. What does that mean? It means that these people need to hear compliments, or they would give compliments, okay? They would say things like, wow, I love you, or you're so good at what you do, or I like your new shirt, this color becomes you so well, or thanks for the lovely sandwiches that you made for me this morning, okay? Any compliment, thank you for picking up the kids today. Wow, you look beautiful today. What a good job you did. Well done. Okay? All these words basically are very, very, very positive about what they do, about how they look, about how they speak. Anything that would give them the affirmation, the positive affirmation that they're good at what they do, that they're good, that they're wanted, that they're loved. This is what does it for them. Words, okay? I'm going directly from physical touch, which is very, very physical, to words, which are something which is kind of up in the air. But still, this is a very, very important language for the people who speak that language. Words of affirmation. Let's go to the third love language, which is acts of service. What does that mean? What do these people do? Acts of service, that means that the person who speaks that language will give you service. They will do things for you, and they will expect you to do things for them as well. For instance, let me fill your car up with fuel. That is a service. You know, you do something for me, or I do something for you. Okay, I'll do the dishes, I'll wash the dishes, I'll hang the laundry, I will cut the grass in the lawn. All these kind of things are acts of service. Let's see a few more examples. If I walk the dog, for instance, that could be an act of service. You know, I'm doing something for the family. If my wife, my husband falls asleep on the couch, and I will go and cover her, put a light blanket on her to make her feel warm. This is a service. I'm doing something for her. I'm doing something to make her happy, to keep her warm, cozy. It's a service. If I take down the bin, for instance, that is also an act of service. I'm doing something for the family. I'm doing something that needs to be done. Or if I, give you breakfast in bed, that is also a service. I'm doing something for you. Okay? I'm helping you. This is my way of helping you. So that is the third love language, acts of service. The fourth love language is gifts. Now, when I'm talking about gifts, a lot of people immediately think about very expensive gifts that cost a lot of money, or that, oh, wow, if I have to give her gifts, or I have to give him gifts, that is going to cost me. This is, I can't afford this. I can't do this. But it doesn't always have to be expensive gifts, okay? Obviously, if you spend money and you buy things for the person you care about, that is the gift, and the person who speaks this love language would appreciate it. However, it doesn't always have to be down to the cost of what you are giving them. Gifts can be things that are absolutely free, okay? Like if you pick up a flower from the garden and you give this to your spouse, your child, or the person you care about, this can also be considered a gift, because the thought is when you give it to them, they know, or you know, because this is your love language, that you're doing this because you love them. You want to give them something from you. If your child draws a picture, especially for you, and he bothers to color it in, and he makes an effort to keep within the lines, and he's really, really making an effort, and he wants to give it to you, and this is a gift to him. He's done something for you, okay? Now, he shows that he loves you by it, and you will show him that you love him by hanging it on the fridge and showing it to the world and be proud with what they've done. Okay, so gifts don't necessarily have to be very, very expensive things. It can be simple things that don't cost a lot. Okay, a box of Ferrero Rocher, for instance, which is my favorite chocolate, by the way, doesn't cost that much money. Okay, and if somebody loves it and you want to give them this as a gift, the actual value of the gift is a lot higher than what you paid for it. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. So that is the fourth love language. Let's go to the fifth love language. And that is quality time together. Okay, this is actually spending time with one another. Okay, it means that you would go on holiday together, maybe, or just sit in the garden together and hold hands or don't hold hands, but just sit together and have a quiet conversation of how was your day, or what do you think about this new book that you've read? Do you like it? Or watching a film together, or reading books together. You know, parents read to their children. This is an amazing quality time that they spend together. These moments are cherished for the rest of their lives. So this is a point of spending time together, quality time together. This is the fifth love language. So let's summarize what we know, okay? We know that there are different love languages. We're talking about basically 5 love languages, which are physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, and quality time. So far, so good. But it is not that simple, as we are just about to discover. Okay, here's the thing. Dr. Chapman found that each and every one of us basically have a primary love language. Even if we speak all 5 languages, each and every one would still have one language which is his main language, okay? This would be the primary language that this person speaks. And what happens is that when this person speaks one language, for instance, I chose here for the example physical touch, okay? That's why it's bigger than the others, okay? The person might speak quality time, you know, they might enjoy quality time together. They might enjoy sitting with their spouse or children to have supper together, because this is quality time, okay? They might enjoy giving a gift or receiving a gift on their birthday. They might definitely enjoy a compliment every now and then, okay? And they might appreciate acts of service. But because physical touch is their primary language, so they will express love in their language. They will express love in a physical way. They would always look for the holding hands or the cuddles or the hugs or the kisses, okay? Because this is their language, okay? But this is more complicated than that, because not only they express love in their primary language, but also their receptors, okay, they are looking to receive love in their language, okay? This is what they need. This is what they are expecting. They expect to receive love in their language. It's like looking for channels on TV, for instance, okay? If you're looking for a sports channel, you don't want the news channel, you want sports, okay? And if the television goes back to news, it annoys you because you're looking for something else. You want to see sports. You don't care about the news. You want to see the results of your favorite group in football. Okay, and that's not on the news. The news are talking about politics and talking about the weather. They're talking about financial situation in the world. And you will hear about it, but you want to hear about football because this is your hobby. This is what you like. This is what you want to do. This is what you care about. Same if you're interested in the History Channel, okay? You are looking to hear about historical events or historical people who changed the world. You want the History Channel or National Geographic, for instance. You want to hear about geography. You want to hear about animals. You want to travel the world through this channel, but you keep receiving, or the TV screen keeps showing you something that you don't want to see. And this can be very, very frustrating for people. Exactly the same thing happens with love languages, okay? Exactly the same thing, because here's the thing. If you are speaking the language of physical touch, okay, then you will express love, as I said before, you will express love in the way of physical touch. But let's say your spouse, for instance, speaks words of affirmation, okay? And they will give love with words of affirmation. Do you know what happens? You feel basically very much deprived of love. You feel very unloved, very unappreciated, very lonely, and and you will start resenting your spouse. You will start thinking that he's not good enough for you, that he's not the one, that you made a mistake by marrying him or being with him. Okay? These are very, very difficult feelings that can ruin relationships. It is just like the Tower of Babel. You must know the story of the Tower of Babel, about these people who decided that they want to build a very high building that will go all the way up to the sky. And they started building their buildings speaking one language, and then God saw that and said, no, 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 this is not going to happen. So he changed the languages, and each person started to speak a different language, and that basically caused lack of communication. It caused confusion. People could not actually speak to one another properly. They did not understand what is going on. What do you want? Do you want the hammer? Let me give you a screwdriver. And this is how basically the Tower of Babel did not happen. It never reached the sky in the end, because you cannot reach the climax, you cannot reach best relationships if you cannot speak the same language, if each one is speaking something else. Okay? So just like the Tower of Babel, when we're talking about languages of love, here we go. If the person who speaks his primary language, and I gave once again the example of a physical touch, they not only express love in their love language, but they also expect to hear love and receive love in their primary language. And if the people around them give them all these other love languages, they're surrounded with people who love them, but they express love through words of affirmation, or through acts of service, or through giving them gifts, or through trying to spend quality time with them. The result will be very unhappy people. Okay? People who feel, as I said, unappreciated, unloved, unwanted, and the relationships will be absolutely ruined. And that is a very, very sad thing, because you might be surrounded with people who love you, and they're doing their best to give everything they can to you. They're doing their best to show you how much they love you, but they speak their own language. And because they speak their own language, you don't understand it. You don't understand it, and you feel that you're not getting what you need. There's not enough satisfaction there. There's always a gap between what you expect, what you want, and how you feel, to what you're actually getting, or what you actually think that you're getting. Okay? Whereas if your primary language is physical touch, once again for this example, and the people surrounding you speak the same language, okay? So they're filling you up with acts of love through physical touch, okay? So you're always fulfilled, you're always happy, you always know that you're welcome, that you're wanted, you feel that life has blessed you so much. And that is because basically you speak the same language, okay? And you feel happy. You see, the result of that is happy people, happy children. Isn't that great? Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all speak the language of our loved ones, or if they could speak our language? So the question must be asked, how do we know what is our love language? How do we know what is the love language of our spouse or our children or our parents or our siblings or our boss at work? How do we know that? Now, that is a very, very good question. And actually, the way to check it is to try and find out your own love language to begin with, okay? So the answer to that must go through awareness. Not for nothing, awareness is the first A of the method that I have created, because without awareness, it is very, very difficult to achieve anything or change anything in our lives, or feel happy, which for a lot of people, this is their achievement. This is what they want. That's their goal. We want to feel happy. We want to feel fulfilled. So awareness basically is asking questions, okay, and looking around you and looking inside you to try and see what's there. What is my love language? So you can ask yourselves questions like, how do I express love? What do I want my spouse? It's very easy to give the example with a spouse. This is why I'm using that example most. But as I said, it applies for every intimate relationship. So how do I expect my spouse to express love? What do I want? Do I want him to wash the dishes? Will I feel happy and loved if he washes the dishes, which is acts of service? Or do I want him to cuddle me in bed? Do I need him to say a compliment? Is that what I want, to hear compliments, or which is words of affirmation? Or do I want him to give me a gift every now and then? Okay, so you ask yourself, what do I expect? What do I want? Okay, but also, how do I express love? When I love somebody, what do I do? Do I go and hug them? Do I buy them a present? Do I try and spend as much time as possible with them? Do I make the effort of getting up early in the morning because they get up early in the morning so that we can have coffee together? Or do I stay up late at night because he goes to sleep late and I just want to spend some time with him at the end of the day and just ask, how was your day? What is it that I'm actually willing to do? Am I going to sit and watch a film with him, even though this is not exactly my cup of tea, but it's important to him, and I would sit with him and watch the film, and then we'll discuss our experience from the film, our thoughts, our feelings about what we've seen. So the things that I am willing to do, the things that I do in order to express love, is also my love language. And as I said before, we might all speak all 5 languages, okay? We might all know all 5 languages, but with all that, one language will be most important to us. And the language which is more important to us will be our primary language, okay? We will also find that we express love more in that language than in other languages, okay? More often. So once you start paying attention to how you express love and what you do more for your loved ones, then it will give you the idea of what is your primary love language. The same thing goes for your spouse, okay? Start watching what they do. What do they do? How do they express love? Now, once again, remember, what do they do is their way of expressing love. You might not receive it as love, but try and see, what do they actually do? What have they done over the years? Have they given you many presents? Have they given you many compliments? Did they try and spend a lot of time with you? Or did they look for cuddles and hugs and kisses all the time, or make love? This is how you will know your spouse's love language. You can also speak to them, open this with them. Talk to them. Say, look, I've heard this very interesting lecture about 5 languages of love, And I would like to try and find out what is your love language. And then just sit down and think, what am I doing to express love? What are you doing to express love? Okay, when you bought me red apples because you know I like red apples and not green apples, which is what you like, was this because you wanted to show love to me? This is considered a gift, you know. You've done something specially for me. We say that success is measured in the little details, and it is exactly the same thing. If you look at the little acts that happen in everyday life and start thinking about them and try and look at them in a different angle, look at them in a different way, and speak to your spouse, speak to your children. What are you using to express love? How do you need to get love from us? For instance, I'll give you an example about myself. Okay, what is the language that I chose as an example throughout this lecture? What is the example? I always chose physical touch. Why is that? Because this is my primary love language. Okay, and this is why it was so easy for me to choose physical touch as the primary love language. Okay, and we will all naturally go to our primary language because this is what comes easy to us. This is what is ours. This is what comes from within us. Okay, so if you look at what other people are doing and look at what you are doing and try and figure out what is behind the scenes of these acts, you will discover wonders. So what is the secret in the end? Okay, because if we have, for instance, one person who speaks physical touch as a primary language and the other speaks only words of affirmation, how do we change that? So here's the thing, we don't change that. Okay, we don't change that because we cannot change the nature of a person. What comes naturally to a person, that is that's in his DNA, if you like. Okay, that is theirs. We don't actually change that. But what do we do? Because we don't want a wrecked relationship with one. We want to be happy. Okay, we want these happy people at the bottom, okay, as opposed to these unhappy people or children. Okay, so what do we do? So here's the thing, we're going back to being aware. Okay, once I'm aware to my love language and I'm aware to my spouse's or children's love language, okay, we have something to work with. And Dr. Chapman, what he did in his work, and he describes it very, very nicely in his book, is actually amazing. He said that sometimes a conversation of 1 hour solved problems of decades with married couples, okay? Because what they did was to basically choose, okay, choose 3 things each that will say, you know, this is how I express love. So I want you to know that with these 3 things, when I do them because I want you to know that I love you. All right? I want you to know that I appreciate you. I want you to know that I'm happy that you are in my life, that I wouldn't want to live any differently. Okay? So each side will choose 3 things, and it is like a contract. It is an agreement between the 2 people that they will know each time I do these 3 things, it's because I love you. And I will do this in my language, but you will know, even though this is not your language, you will know that I do them because I love you. Okay? Let's see, for instance, this. We have a person that his love language or her love language is gifts, okay? So I want you to know that every time I buy you something, whether it is very expensive, like a bag or shoes or jewelry or any other expensive gift, or even if it's a very small gift that doesn't cost a lot of money, or even if it's a complete freebie, okay? I went to the garden and I picked this flower for you. But every time I do these things for you, you will know that I do this because I love you, okay? And the person, for instance, that his love language is acts of service can agree or say that, you know, every time I wash the dishes or I wipe them out, or every time I walk the dog, and every time I take the bin down, that is because I want you to know that I care about you, that I care about this household, that I want you to feel good. Okay? So once you have this agreement between the two of you, then there is a lot more communication. And the feeling of being deprived of love is not as bad as it used to be when you had no communication at all, simply for not speaking the same language. So I hope this is clear. The idea is clear of the 5 languages of love. Now, after all this, I want to go back to this screen here. Do you remember at the beginning I said that I hope by the end of this lecture you will understand why I chose this particular screen. So what is unique about this screen is the fact that there are different pictures here. It is not just one picture, it is different pictures. And each picture on its own is very, very beautiful. I'll show you in a minute all the pictures. You see, each picture on its own is beautiful. I love looking at nature. I absolutely adore nature. You know, it gives me so much inspiration, so much peace of mind, so much relaxation. I feel so happy when I'm in nature. So to me, these pictures are very, very, very special. And I hope that you find them special as well. Let's have a look at each one individually. I especially like pictures or being around water, waterfalls or lakes or the ocean or the sea or a river. I absolutely adore that. It is so nice for me. It is so relaxing. And there is another picture for you. I think this one is from Japan. These are not pictures that I took, okay? These are just pictures that I picked up from the internet, but I was looking for special sceneries. There's another beautiful, beautiful picture of the reflection of these colorful trees in the lake. I used to live in England and I loved going to the Lake District and just watching the lakes and watching the trees and the reflection and the swans and the ducks and the yachts which were there, and I could live there if I could. There is another beautiful picture and another one, and I'm going to end up with this one. And basically what I wanted to show you with that is that each picture individually is beautiful, is amazing, it is inspiring, it gives us so much joy, okay? Each picture individually. But when we try and speak all of them together, sometimes we get confused. Hang on, what's here? What are you showing us? What is this? Is this sunset? Where are we? Is this spring? Is it fall? What is there? Okay, so we are all beautiful, and the languages of love that we speak, each and every one of us individually, is beautiful on its own, but we just need to kind of separate them and understand that this is who we are. So I hope this was clear and educational for you. I hope that you've learned something from this lecture and that you can actually take it to your own life and see how it reflects in your life and how you can use the knowledge that I have given you in this lecture in order to improve your relationship. If you need any help, if you want any consultation, if you want any one-on-one sessions or more lectures, you're more than welcome to contact me. These are my details here on the screen. My phone number is 054 777 1815, and my email is on the screen. And I will share a little secret with you in just a moment. Okay, so the little secret is that, yes, as I mentioned before, the reason my husband bought this book to begin with, it was in a time that he was in England for months and months at a time, and I was here in Jerusalem with the children. It was basically due to financial difficulties. He was working in England, and we didn't want to all move back to England at the time, so I was here with the children. And we also had a lot of issues in our marriage. So my husband found this book and he bought it and he brought it back with him, and I read it, and I was absolutely amazed to find out that all the kind of negative feelings that I've had and all the feelings of being unloved by him are not necessarily true, because, as I said before, my love language is physical touch. My husband is not speaking that language at all. However, he does speak another language. And when I understood that, it made me realize that my whole concept about our marriage was wrong. And how sad for us that we spend so many years, at the moment we are married 14 years, but we have spent too many years, I have spent too many years feeling very much deprived and very much unloved, and all due a simple misunderstanding. So you don't have to wait that many years. Once you've learned this thing and you've heard the lecture, I've given you the principles, and you can just take it away. And I wish you good luck, and you're welcome to share your thoughts with me. So thank you very much for listening. My name is Ilanit Freeman, and I enjoyed very much giving this lecture to you. We'll see you next time.